Hello guys, my name is Laden/Bluffing. We're back with another trading guide video. This is part 3 of 6, and in this video we'll be talking about wrap, value, and sales. These 3 specific terms that will be useful in order to make sure that you can become rich on Roblox and to be a very good trader. But I think it is important to talk about these 3 because just as demand and rarity, these 3 are also pretty important to the overall economy of yourself and the Roblox platform as a whole. So let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so let's first talk about wrap. First of all, what is wrap?
I've never heard of this term before because I'm a new trader, so could you please tell me about what wrap is?
Sure.
Let's do that real quick. So, what does wrap stand for? Wrap stands for recent average price, but obviously I don't want to continuously say that term on and on, just be like, oh yeah, this item has a recent average price of this, so people have just referred to calling it wrap. And I'm not talking about music, I'm talking about an actual value of an item. So there are 2 types of, value systems on Roblox. You have wrap, which is assigned by Roblox themselves in order to give items, a worth of some sorts, and of course Rolimons assigns a value to an item in order to determine what an item could actually be worth despite its wrap. As you can see, we talked about rares the last video. Some items had a wrap of 60,000, but some people give 400,000 for the item, so therefore it deserves a value of 400,000. Or if people start lowballing it, then it'll start being worth less in wrap and less in value, and etc. like that. So for example, let's go ahead to this Arborist's Verdant Egg of Leafy Leafiness, or whatever it's called that. If you click right here, you might scroll down, you might always see a graph on this item. Now, obviously, this item does not sell very often. I don't even think this item has had a sale for the past 180 days, so I have no idea why this graph is here. But as you can see, this item has a average price. Now, it's called recent average price. Roblox just decided not to put recent on here, but recent average price is the Roblox worth of the item, and this is determined by an item selling. So if we go down, let's probably find a better example of how to show you recent average price. So let's find an item that probably sells a decent amount. So example right here, cake topper. This is a perfect example, right? So example right here, this cake topper right here, this little really cool hat that I happen to own. So you can see this item does sell a lot times a day, and you can see that here right here the average price is 63, which is actually pretty similar to around this sale price right here. Now the recent average price is, you might have noticed that it says average here. It is the average of all the sales for that day plus whatever the recent average price was yesterday. Or that calculation doesn't sound correct. So basically, when an item is purchased for the first time, whatever that purchase was will be the wrap. So for example, if an item has never sold before and someone buys it for 20,000 Robux, the wrap will immediately be 20,000 because it's the average. And since it's only had 1 but not 2 sales, that recent average price will be 20,000, right? But obviously this item has been selling for a lot more. So basically what happens is when someone buys this, for example, for 78,000 Robux, the wrap might increase by like 2 Robux. So it might go up, 1, 2. So it might be worth 65 Robux. However, if someone decides to sell it for 50, it might go down a few Robux. So the way recent average price is determined is literally by selling the item or by purchasing it. So for example, if I scroll down right here and for whatever reason I decided to buy this item for 100 Robux, for whatever reason, don't ask me why. If I decided to buy it for 100 Robux, it would probably increase a little bit more in wrap than if I bought it for 78 Robux. And because I bought it for a bit of a higher price. If I bought this cake topper for 100,000 Robux, this recent average price would go up quite a bit. Now, it would probably immediately begin to lower because people would continuously buy it under wrap for 78 Robux, and therefore its average price would start to go down. And so because of that, buying it for that much Robux would be a complete waste. And so I would recommend you never do that. But the way recent average price is determined is simply by buying it above or under wrap. That is exactly how it's determined. There's no other way it is determined. It is simply, average price is simply determined by buying it above or under or equal wrap. And speaking of which, if you buy it for exactly 63 Robux, it will not change at all. It will just stay at 63 wrap. And now that we have gotten wrap out of the way, let's actually talk about what is a wrap item. Now, a wrap item, according to Rolimons, is any item that is simply valued off of its wrap. It has no value at all. So as you can see here, I went to categories and I went over here and I deselected all of these and left unassigned open. And unassigned means the items that do not have a value. So theoretically, all these items right here that I have in front of me, these are all unvalued items, so that technically they are all wrap items. It does not matter how expensive or how cheap it is. These are all wrap items. So if I, for example, wanted wrap items, I'd be looking for stuff like this for some reason. I'd be looking for unvalued items like these. I'd be looking for that. So maybe I have something like Mrs. Tentacles and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for some wrap items to downgrade it with, and people could come up to me and offer me stuff that's like worth 8K and whatnot. Probably not these royal rabbit ears or something like that, but probably a better example would be something that's worth like maybe 8K or something like that, like right here. So I don't know, someone could send me these 4K or 2K items for misses, and that would be a downgrade into wrap. So that's basically how that works. But like I said, a wrap item is an item that is not valued and it's only based off of its wrap. If an item is valued, people will trade it based off of its value. Now, in interesting situations, an item might have more wrap than value. So a perfect example of this is, lo and behold, Frozen Horns of the Frigid Plains. As you can see here, this item has a value of 680,000, yet its wrap is at 700, almost 740,000 wrap. And the reason because of this is because people have bought it over wrap so much times that the wrap has just slowly went over the value. So sometimes people lowball this thing so much that the item will decrease in value significantly, and this can actually that was a weird word to say. This can entail people to sell it under wrap because the item is doing very bad. So this can very much influence the wrap. The value can influence the wrap, and the wrap can also influence the value. So for example, if an item is selling very well, people might start to trade it for overpays only because of how good it's doing. If an item starts selling under wrap, the item might start decreasing in value. But that's basically how it works. So this is an example of an item that has, more wrap than value. But again, back to the topic, a wrap item is simply an item that has no value. So all these little items right here have no value. They are all considered wrap items, but you can also consider them smalls. But yeah. And then of course the opposite of wrap is obviously value. So value is any item on Roblox that has a value assigned to it, most likely by a trading community such as Rollymons. But all these items right here, they are valued, and that is basically it. They do not go off of the wrap. So for example, that Frozen Horns of the Frigid Plains I showed you, people don't really trade off the wrap unless it starts to do very well. Then people will trade it based off of the wrap, but that rarely ever happens. People will mostly only trade off the value because the value determines on how well an item is doing. Alright, so all these valued items right here, they are all valued. They are not based off of wrap. So for example, if I had Dominus Imperius, I would not be trading this item based off of 13 million. I'd be trading it based off of 20 million or a lot more, because Dominus Imperius probably gets a lot of overpays or massive overpays, but it's also very rarely traded. So it would be a mistake to trade it for its wrap. Now you can see here a very interesting example of an item with more wrap than value is Dominus Frigidus. So this item is valued at 19,000, but its wrap is 28,000. So I don't know about you guys, but if I was trading this item, I would not see this worth at 19,000. Hell no. This wrap is so much more than it. This makes this item so much more expensive. The wrap is like more than twice the amount of Dominus Imperius too, which is crazy, alright? So it's very interesting to see items like that, but you have all your good demand items and your low demand. So you might have low demand valued items. So a good example of an item with low demand but is valued right here, Demon Trucker. So it's valued at 18, but this is a pretty low demand item, so people don't necessarily like this item a lot, but it does happen to have a value, so it is a valued item. It is no longer a wrap item. Now if it did get devalued, this item would be considered a wrap item because it had no more value. An item that recently got devalued, which I do not necessarily agree with, Dice Crown, is now considered a wrap item, although people might still consider this demand because it's still a pretty decent item regardless. And of course we've had other random items get devalued for really no reason to begin with, such as like maybe the Mask Hood of the Summer. This used to be a low valued item, but now it's just considered wrap. So same with Dice Crown. But yeah, as you can see here, you have plenty of these valued items right here, and this is mostly when you become a trader and you have a pretty good inventory. I'd say around maybe like 100 or 200k, you will mostly be trading with demand items, especially if you want to make a profit. Now I'm a little bit of a weird person, so I like trading with wrap, but that's because I just really like items that look like that, But also you have a few examples here of items that are not valued right here, like New Year's Doge and Blue Katana. The only reason they're here is because they actually have a demand assigned to it, so they are here, but technically they're wrapped because they've never been valued before. So, but as you see, Bombastic Antlers, Blue Banded, Lava Reactor, these are all valued items, and some of them are good demand, some of them are low demand, but that's basically what that is. And now guys, the last topic of this video, sales. Sales can be very, very important to the health of a Roblox Limited. For example, we have something like Fire Flash Shades. It's currently selling for around 33,000 Robux. Alright, so I remember there used to be a thing that would show the average price after you bought it, but as you can see, this item is currently under wrap. Fire Flash Shades have been doing very poorly recently, and because of this, people are starting to sell it underneath wrap, which is detrimental to the item. Like, the sales of an item can really determine whether or not an item does good in some cases. Now, for example, if the item is very expensive, it will probably never matter. So for example, like Domino Crown, it will probably never matter because no one's selling it for around an affordable price. People are selling it for a ridiculous amount of prices, so sales will never affect this item because, you know, it's probably never going to sell, at least not for a long while. I mean, the last time it sold was for a ridiculous 40 million Robux, which is a ridiculous amount. You will almost never see that before or anytime. You might very rarely see it, but like I said, sales can really influence how an item does. So as an example here, when the item was selling for 38,000 Robux, you know, it was doing pretty good. When an item sells above wrap, you're pretty happy because now your item increased in wrap, and therefore people might start trading for it more and it might increase in value. But as soon as some people start selling it under wrap for like pretty bad amounts, like 28,000 when it's at like 37,000 wrap or whatever, that might make the item do pretty badly, and people might start lowballing it as a result, which is pretty bad. You don't want your item to get lowballs because then your item's doing bad and you're losing wrap and value as a result of that. Now, for example, items such as Cry, sales cannot influence this item because it's very hard for this item to sell. It's selling for 700,000 Robux. It's not an item that will sell a lot, and so because of this, sales will likely never influence this item. So you will never have to worry about that. You will have to worry about, however, how the rare is doing as a whole, because it does have a value, of course. Even though the wrap might never influence it, trends might influence it. So just be careful with that. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this part 3 of 6 for Roblox trading. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new about wrap, value, or sales. The next video that I will make will be part 4 of 6, and that will be ways to trade or gain value on Roblox. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see that ways to trade video, that will be right here, part 4 of 6. And if you want to see my playlist of all my other trading guide videos, that will be right over here. Go ahead, click on that playlist. As soon as I upload all those videos, they will be in there. But other than that, hopefully you learned something new. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.